Thank you, dear devotees. Thank you for so much for joining. Really grateful for each and every one of your association. We get started. Let's offer our prayers. Om Ajnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Śrī Caitanya-manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Guruve Gaura Chandraya, Radhikaya Tadalaya, Krishna Krishna Bhaktāya, Tadbhaktāya Namo Namaha. Anand Lila Maya Vigrahaya, Hema Bhadivya Chhavi Sundaraya, Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya, Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Mukam karoti vācālam pangum langāyate girim yat kripahatam ham mande Shri Guru Dīnatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhuvaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are in Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Adi Lila, and this is chapter number 12. So we are still continuing our Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is actually continuing about the expansions of the various main branches. Means ninth chapter he discussed about that devotional tree, how this is devotional tree, and in the 10th chapter he mentions that this tree, the root is Shripad Madhavendra Puri, the roots are Shripad Ishvara Puri, the main trunk is Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who is also the gardener of that tree, Malakar. And then from that skanda, from that main branch comes the two main branches. From the trunk of the tree comes the two main branches. One is Shripad Nityananda Prabhu, whose glorification as sub-branches we saw. And now in this chapter 12, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will be mentioning about the second main branch that is coming out from the trunk of that devotional tree. And that branch belongs to Shripad Advaita Acharya. And in this also he will be discussing about the branches that are coming out from Shri Gadadhar Pandit. Okay, so we will see these two in this chapter. Let's start. This is chapter number 12, verse 1, the expansions of Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar Pandit. Advaitangriabja Brigapstan Sara Bhrito Khilan Hitva Saran Sara Bhrito Naumi Chaitanya Jivanam. Advaita Angrihi. Angrihi refers to the feet, the lotus feet. Actually, it refers to feet. Abja refers to lotus. So, onto the lotus feet of Shripad Advaita Acharya, he's saying he has many followers, and their followers are like the bees. They are like the bumblebees, bringams. Bringams refer to the bumblebees. So all the followers of Śrīpada Advaita-acārya, they are like the bumblebees at the lotus feet of Śrī Advaita-acārya. And he says that there are two kinds, Sara, Asara, Bhrito, Khilan. So they are all these disciples of the followers of Śrīpada Advaita-acārya. They are of two kinds, Sara, Asara. Sara refers to those who are real. Asara means those who are not real. What does it mean that those who are real and not real? Means those who are following the parampara of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. They are the real followers of Śrī Advaita-acārya. But there are some who are not the real followers of Śrīpada Advaita-acārya. Advaita-acārya, we know that he was non-different from Śrī Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and also Sadashiv. Because of the combination of Sadashiv, there were many disciples or the followers, not disciples I would say, but the followers of Śrī Advaita-acārya who were not aligned with the philosophy of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. They were Advaitavad. So there were some were real and some were not real. So Śrīpad Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Hitva Saran. Hitva means to give up. Means I ignore all those who are asaran, means those who are not real, those who are not following the philosophy of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sara Bhritto, and those who are the real servants, the real disciples, the real followers, I bow down, Naumi, I pay my obeisances unto them because Chaitanya Jivanam, for them the life and soul was Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So the followers of Śrī Advaita Prabhu were of two kinds. Some were real followers and others were false. Rejecting the false followers. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, I'm rejecting all those who are not aligned to the philosophy of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. I offer my respectful obeisances to Śrī Advaita-acārya's real followers, whose life and soul was Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Just the second verse in continuation, he is offering obeisances. Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta-sārārtham dvitya skandarupina Śrīmad Advaita Chandrasya Shakha-rūpān Ganāṇ-numaha. Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta-sārārtham, that the tree which is Amar, which is eternal, and which belongs to whom? That belongs to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He is saying, Dvitya Skanda-rūpina, of that tree, the second main branch is whom? Skanda. Skanda means the branch. The Dvitya, the second main branch is Advaita, Śrīmad Advaita Chandrasya, is Śrīpad Advaita Acārya. So he's saying, I, Numaha, again, I offer my respectful obeisances unto that Shakha, unto that main branch, that is to Śrīpad Advaita Acārya, but also Shakha-rūpān Ganāṇ-numaha. Also, I offer my obeisances to the Shakha, means to the main branch, and the sub-branches that are coming out from that main branch. Means I offer my respectful obeisances to Advaita Prabhu, who forms the second branch of that eternal Chaitanya tree, and of course to all his followers who form his sub-branches. So Advaita Prabhu was the second branch of the tree, and of course there are many sub-branches that were coming out from that main branch. To this, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami again feels incompetent, and he says that it is not possible for me to mention all the sub-branches. But the main I will, of course, I will share and I will name them. So with that, he says, let's see. So entire world was actually flooded with Krishna prem. So he says, Chaitanya Malira Kripa Jalera Sechane Se Jale Pushta Skanda Bade Dine Dine. So Chaitanya Malakar, he is the gardener. He is the trunk of the tree, he is the tree itself, and he is also the gardener. So he, being the gardener of that tree, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kripa Jalera, he was watering that tree. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was watering that tree? Through his kripa. Sechane, he was sprinkling the water through his kripa. Means his kripa was actually the water. Say jale pushta, and with that jal, with that water, and what is that water? Water is that kripa. With that jal pushta skanda, all the branches, they were getting lot of nourishment. And bade dine dine, and they were increasing day by day. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu was also the gardener, and he poured the water of his mercy on that tree, because of which all the branches and the sub-branches, they grew day after day. Sei skande yata prema phala upajila, sei Krishna prema phale jagata bharila. On that branch which belongs to Śrī Advaitacharya, yata prema phala upajila, the fruits of love of Godhead were there. Lot of fruits of love of Godhead grew on that branch, because that branch belongs to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. They were the followers of Śrī Advaitacharya, and their life and soul was Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So a lot of fruits of Krishna Prem grew on that branch. And those were, say, Krishna Prema Phala Jagata Bharila. And they were so large, so many fruits, that the entire world was flooded with Krishna Prem because of this main branch. The fruits of love of Godhead that grew on these branches of the Chaitanya tree were so large that they flooded the entire world with Krishna Prem. Sei jale skandakare shakhate sanchara, Phul phale phule bade shakha haila vistara. So as Sai Jala, that water which was sprinkled on these branches, which was the mercy of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sai Jala skanda kare shakhate sanchar. So because of that mercy from this main branch, the sub-branches, they emerged. There were a lot of sub-branches, and which were spreading. Sanchara means they were spreading very widely. They were growing very widely. Phala phule bade. And every day new fruits and flowers are coming on these branches. Shakha haila vistar. And this way, this main shakha that belongs to Śrī Advaitacharya, it grew and it widespread. So as the trunk and the branches were watered, the branches and the sub-branches, they spread lavishly, vistara. And the tree grew full with fruits and flowers. Phala phule bade. So at first, all the followers of Śrī Advaitacharya, they shared a single opinion, because they were the followers of Śrī Advaitacharya. And Advaitacharya was naturally preaching what he heard from Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So practically all were aligned to the teachings of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. But later, there were some followers who had their own opinions, and this was also orchestrated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only, because not everybody can be aligned with the Lord. There were many atheists and following two different sampradayas. So there were few followers who later got some different opinion of Advaitavad, and therefore they were disconnected with that branch. Some of the disciples, they strictly followed the order of Śrīpad Advaitacharya, but later some were there who independently concoct their own opinions under the direction of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu only, because everything was orchestrated by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and through his Daivi Shakti, through his Daivi Maya. So with this, then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, actually he mentions that this is the verse that he says, Acharya re mata yei sei mata sara, tara agya laki chale sei ta asara. So the orders of the spiritual master is the active principle in the spiritual life. Why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has to mention? Because there were many followers who concocted their own ideas, leaving Śrī Advaitacharya's ideas behind. They don't want to follow the instructions of Śrī Advaita-acārya. And this is what happens when we don't follow the orders of Śrī Guru. Then we are disconnected from the mercy of that Guru. Because the mercy of the spiritual master only and only comes when we follow the instructions of our spiritual master. There were many followers of Śrī Advaita-acārya who didn't follow his instructions. So therefore, they were drifted away. They didn't belong to this tree. They were on their own. So therefore, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Acharya re mata yahi sahi mata sara, tara agya lagi chale sahi tha asara. That the orders of the spiritual master is the active principle. Acharya refer here is to Advaita Acharya. So if they are not aligned to the mata, to the opinion of Śrī Advaita-acārya, which is the main principle of spiritual life, anyone who disobeys, who just gets drifted away and doesn't obey the orders of the spiritual master, immediately became useless. Chale saita asara. They are the unreal ones because they become useless. So persons who strictly follow the orders of the spiritual master, they are useful in executing the will of the Supreme Lord. Why? Because the spiritual master is the representative of the Supreme Lord. So everything is coming from the Supreme Lord only via the medium of our spiritual master. So one should not deviate and one should strictly follow the orders of the spiritual master. If somebody doesn't follow, then of course the mercy aspect won't come. And finally, they will become useless in their life. After describing this, then Sripad Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that, see, yes, there were many who drifted away, so I don't need to mention all of them. There were some who were useless. So I will not mention because now they don't belong to this branch, so there is no need. So what I will do is I will mention only those who stick to the orders of Śrī Advaita-acārya, those who were aligned with the philosophy of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, I will only mention them. So he gives the example, just like the paddy is mixed with the straw at first. Then what you do, to take out the grain, you separate the paddy from the straw. You must fan it. So here also Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that I'll do this fanning job, and I will separate the paddy from the straw. And the straws I don't need to mention. I will mention only the grains, only the paddy. So this example is very, very apt in our Gaudiya Sampradaya also, because we have seen that many disciples of Shripad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, actually they were deviated from that path. So we are not here to criticize anybody, but the point is that those who were aligned with the philosophy grew and stayed in that branch, right? So that's what we have to focus on. Prabhupada mentions that there are many swamis who have adopted this hypocritical means of preaching, but we don't have to go there. We have to strictly follow Srila Prabhupada and spread this Krishna consciousness in the entire world. After describing this, now the first sub-branch that comes out from Śrī Advaita-acārya is Achyutananda. That's what Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says. So this is one big sub-branch that comes out from Śrī Advaita-acārya, and that branch, that sub-branch belongs to Śrī Achyutananda. Achyutananda bada shakha acharya nandana ajanma se vilate ho Caitanya-charana. So a big branch of Advaita-acārya was his own son, who was Achyutananda. Ajanma se vilate ho Caitanya-charana. From the very beginning of his life, he was engaged in service of the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So Achyutananda, when he heard from his, there was a conversation that was going on between Śrī Advaita-acārya and Keshava Bharati. Who is Keshava Bharati? Keshava Bharati is the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who gave him sannyas diksha. So there was a conversation that was going on, and this conversation was heard by Śrī Advaita-acārya. And this question came that, no, actually the conversation was not between Keshava Bharati and Śrī Advaitacharya, but it was with someone where someone asked Advaitacharya that who is the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And Achyutananda overheard saying that Advaitacharya was saying that Keshava Bharati is the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he heard this discussion, and when he heard that even his father is saying that Keshava Bharati is the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he became very unhappy. He told his father that your instruction that Keshava Bharati is the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu actually will spoil the entire country. Why? Because who can be the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu? It is being mentioned that when Mahaprabhu went to take sannyas from Keshava Bharati, at that time first, Mahaprabhu uttered this sannyasa mantra in the ears of Keshava Bharati, and later it was repeated by Keshava Bharati to Mahaprabhu's ear. So first Mahaprabhu initiated him, and then he initiated Mahaprabhu, just for a lok prachar, for the common people to understand. So right from the beginning, Achyutananda was very, very aligned to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was always engaged in his service. And therefore he says, how can you say that somebody can be the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu? He is Swayam Bhagavan. So then he says, Chauda Bhuvanera Guru Chaitanya Gosai, Tara Guru Anya Ekona Shastranai. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the spiritual master of Chauda Bhuvan, of the 14 planetary system. How can you say that someone else is the spiritual master? This is not supported by any revealed scripture. Anya Ekona Shastranai. No scripture supports this thing that somebody can be the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, when Advaitacharya finally heard this statement from his son, 5-year-old son, Achyutananda was only 5 years at that time, he felt very, very satisfied. He was so happy that how Achyutananda was coming to this conclusive statement saying that nobody can be the spiritual master of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, rather he is the spiritual master of the 14 worlds. So Śrī Advaitacharya was very happy. Later, our dear Srila Prabhupada, he mentions that Advaitacharya, he had many sons. So the 3 sons of Advaitacharya who were actually the devotees, and 3 were not. So in all, he had 6 sons. And the 3 sons, that is Achyuta, Krishna Mishra, and Gopal Das, they were born of the womb of Mother Sita, his wife, that is Sita Devi. But then it is mentioned that Advaitacharya had 3 other sons also, and their name was Balaram, Swarup, and Jagdish. These 3 sons were not following the orders of Śrī Advaitacharya, and therefore they were not the strict followers also of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. But out of those 6 sons, the 3 sons, that is Achyutananda, Krishna Mishra, and Gopal Das, they were very, very strict followers of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And out of these 3, Achyuta, who was also known as Achyutananda, he was the eldest one. So now somebody can ask, well, Śrī Advaitacharya is Mahavishnu himself. How can his sons, cannot he make all his sons also the devotees of Lord Shri Krishna? Well, some pastimes are personally orchestrated by Krishna. And this has already been mentioned by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, that under the spell of Daivi Shakti, Mahaprabhu himself orchestrated this. And therefore, we will focus only on the 3 sons of Śrī Advaitacharya, who were the strict followers of Mahaprabhu. And they are Achyuta, Krishna Mishra, and Gopal Das. Achyutananda was the eldest one, and there is no information about Achyutananda that he ever got married. But it is described that he was the biggest branch of that Advaita family. It is understood that Achyutananda was also the disciple he took Diksha from Śrī Gadadhar Pandit. When Gadadhar Pandit was there in Jagannath Puri, there Achyutananda, he became the disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, and finally he took shelter of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri Dham. It has been mentioned by many that Achyutananda was the incarnation of Kartikeya. We know Lord Shiva has two sons, Ganesh and Kartikeya. Achyutananda is being described as an incarnation of Kartikeya, but our Gaur Ganesh Desh Deepika, which was written by Shripad Kavi Karanpura, he mentions that he is also Achyuta Gopi in Krishna Lila. So the Gopi name Achyuta came as Achyutananda, as the son of Advaitacharya in Chaitanya Lila. Now the second son of Advaitacharya was Krishna Mishra. Okay, now this Krishna Mishra had two sons, Raghunath Chakravarti and Dola Govinda. Now the third son was Gopala. So these are the three branches I'm naming. The first one was Achyutananda, second was Krishna Mishra, and the third sub-branch was Sri Gopala. Gopala was very, very dear to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. It is being described when Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to Gundicha Mandir just for cleaning. Gundicha Mandir, he went in Jagannath Puri to clean Gundicha Mandir. At that time, Gopala was the one who was dancing in front of the Lord with great happiness. And while Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Prabhu, they chanted Hare Krishna mantra, he was dancing and he was also getting all the ecstatic symptoms in his body. Seeing Gopala Das dancing Advaitacharya and Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they were very, very happy. Now, when this dance was going on, Gopal was dancing, suddenly he fainted and he fell on the ground. Advaitacharya became very anxious. He was in anxiety that what happened. He took his son on his lap and he began to chant some Narsimha mantra for his protection. So Advaitacharya, he chanted lot of mantras, lot of Narsimha mantras and other various mantras, but Gopala didn't come back to his consciousness. So all the Vaishnavas also were feeling very sorry, and Advaitacharya was full in anxiety that what has happened to my son. Suddenly at that time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he just put his hand on the chest of Gopal and he told him, my dear Gopal, get up and chant the holy name of the Lord. So as soon as Mahaprabhu said this, and as soon as that Gopal, he felt the touch of Sri Mahaprabhu on his chest, he immediately got up. He heard the sound of Mahaprabhu, he got the touch of Sriman Mahaprabhu on his chest, he immediately got up and he started chanting Hare Krishna. And all the Vaishnavas there were also very happy seeing Gopala dancing and chanting again. So these are the three sons that are being described. Now the fourth branch that is being described. So yes, three other like Balram Sarup and Jagadish. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that there were other three sons, but because they are not they are asara, they are not the real, they were not the followers. So I'll skip them and I will not mention anything about them. So the three branches he mentions, Achyutananda, Gopaladas, Krishna, Achyutananda, then Krishna Mishra, and finally Gopaladas. Now he comes and describes the fourth branch, that is Kamalakanta Vishwasa. This Kamalakanta Vishwasa was a very confidential servant of Sri Advaitacharya. And he knew all the dealings of Sri Chaitanya, of Advaitacharya. He was such a confidential servant of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu also. And later, he was appointed as the secretary of Sri Advaitacharya. He was also from a Brahmana family, and he engaged himself in the service of Sri Advaitacharya as his secretary. So Sri Kamalakanta, this Kamalakanta Vishwasa, he knew that Sri Advaitacharya is Swayam Bhagavan. Means he is not Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, but he is the expansion, the incarnation of Swayam Bhagavan, is Mahavishnu. So when Kamalakanta Vishwasa, he was in Jagannath Puri, he sent a note to King Prataprudra. And no one knew about that note. But what was the note? The note actually was a very confidential note which was sent to Prataprudra. And by again Mahaprabhu's mercy, it reached to the hands of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu only. No one knew about that note. It was specifically addressed to Maharaj Prataprudra, who was the king of Orissa at that time. But somehow that note was, it reached to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And the note says that Śrī Advaitacharya is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it also mentioned that Śrī Advaitacharya has recently incurred a debt of only 300 rupees. Of course, at that time, 300 rupees were too much. So there was this note mentions that Advaitacharya, though he's an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still he had a debt of about 300 rupees, and that Kamalakanta Vishwasa, he wants to liquidate it. When Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu heard and got this note, he was reading the note, he became very happy. Though he was happy in reading the first line that Śrī Advaitacharya is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So he was happy reading this, that how Kamalakanta Vishwasa has established this, that Advaitacharya is the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he was very unhappy seeing that how come the Lord himself, who's an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, who is Lord himself, how can he be in debt? So this means that the incarnation of the Supreme Lord is poverty-stricken. So he said that now I'm going to punish this Kamalakanta Vishwasa. So the Lord ordered his servant Govinda that go and tell Kamalakanta Krishnadas that I don't want Baulya Krishnadas, Baulya Kamalakanta Vishwas to come here. Now the Baulyas at those times were the unauthorized sects, and those who were not the followers of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So he called Kamalakanta Vishwasa as Baulya. He says, you belong to Baulya Sampradaya. So there were many Sampradayas, Baulya, Aulya, Sahitya Sampradaya. But all these Sampradayas were not aligned to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu basically rejected them. So he called Govinda and he told Govinda, go and tell Kamalakanta Vishwasa that I don't want to see that Baulya Kamalakanta Krishnadas. I don't want to see him again. When Kamalakanta heard this punishment by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy because from now onwards he will never have darshan of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was very unhappy. But then when Advaitacharya Prabhu came to know about this entire episode, well, he was greatly pleased. And he was very, very happy when he heard about this punishment, because he understood the inner meaning of that punishment. He appreciated, because see, even punishment is given to whom we love. Only to them. Why this punishment is given? The punishment is given to correct that person. So Mahaprabhu gave punishment to Kamalakanta Krishnadas because he wants to correct him. Now, whom we want to correct? Whom we love. Whom we love, whom we care, we actually want them to come on the correct path. So therefore, Śrī Advaitacharya Prabhu, he understood that Mahaprabhu wants Kamalakanta Vishwasa to be corrected. And therefore, he favored Kamalakanta Vishwasa by giving them in punishment. So he was not unhappy at all. And that's what should be the understanding. When anything comes from the spiritual master, any chastisement comes from the spiritual master or the Supreme Lord, we should take it as a correction, as a mode of correction. And in that, we should not feel unhappy. Rather, we should engage more and more in the service of the Lord. And this is what is the surrendering process. But Kamalakanta Vishwasa, he became very unhappy. And so Advaitacharya went to him and told him, see, you are really fortunate that you have been chastised by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and you have been punished by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He says that through the chastisement of the spiritual master comes the real mercy. And then Advaita Acharya Prabhu told him that actually Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's chastisement, I was waiting to get his chastisement. And then he narrated his own story. Advaita Acharya narrated his own story to his secretary, Kamalakanta Vishwasa, saying that Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu would always offer respects to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, to Advaita Acharya, sorry. Why? Because Advaita Acharya was the disciple of Śrīpad Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri has another disciple named Ishvara Puri, and Ishvara Puri Pad's disciple was Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would always regard Advaita Acharya as a spiritual uncle. So this was as a senior, but this gave a lot of pain to Śrī Advaita Acharya. He said, I was not at all happy when I was respected as a senior by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, to get his chastisement, what I did is I started propounding the philosophy of Yoga Vasishta, considering that liberation is the ultimate goal of life, not bhakti, but liberation is the ultimate goal of life. I started expounding this philosophy of Yoga Vasishta. And when Mahaprabhu came to know about this, that I'm spreading this philosophy along with Nityananda Prabhu, he came to Shantipur and he personally chastised me. He punished me. And when he punished me and he chastised me, I was very happy. The Lord became angry with me, and he treated me with great disrespect and chastised me heavily. But I was very happy because the chastisement of the spiritual master is very great. Mercy comes from the chastisement of the spiritual master. So I was very happy because then he quoted that actually Mukunda also received this chastisement. Mukunda, who was a very great friend and associate of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, during Mahaprakash Lila, all the devotees, when they were getting the mercy, Shivas Thakur said that please give mercy to Śrī Mukunda also. And Mukunda at that time, he was a dear associate of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, but he was also following some Mayavadis. And Mahaprabhu, when he came to know, he said, oh, Mukunda, I don't want to see him again. And all the devotees, they were thinking, now what will happen? And then they all went to Mahaprabhu that please allow Mukunda. When will you give him darshan? Then Mahaprabhu said that Mukunda will get permission to see me after millions of years. And all the devotees, they all went to Mukunda and said, oh Mukunda, this is what Mahaprabhu said, that you will receive mercy only after millions of years. And Mukunda started dancing. And as soon as he started dancing, all the devotees were thinking like, what happened, Mukunda? Are you happy? And he said, of course I am happy. At least after a million years, I'm sure to get, because these words are coming from the mouth of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Swayam Ishvara. So I'm sure to get mercy of Shriman Mahaprabhu after millions of years. And when all the devotees, they went to Mahaprabhu and told this, Mahaprabhu became very happy. And he said, go and get Mukunda right now. I want to give him my darshan. So this is how Śrī Advaita Acharya was telling that how the chastisement of the spiritual master is the real mercy that comes from him. And how Mahaprabhu chastised him and also chastised Mukunda, but actually that was the real mercy. And then he also quoted about the similar punishment that was awarded to Mother Shachi Devi. So she, who could be more fortunate than she to receive the punishment? So this also comes in the later Khanda, Madhya Khanda, which we will see that how she, actually this is greatly described by Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat, that how it also happened during Mahaprakash Lila only. Because she offended Advaita Acharya, Mahaprabhu said that no, I will not give you mercy. And to get the mercy, you have to first seek forgiveness from that great Vaishnava. And later, Mother Sachi Devi, because he said that you have to touch the lotus feet, you have to get the dust of the lotus feet of Śrī Advaitacharya. Only then I'm going to give you mercy. But it was not possible for Advaitacharya to allow Mother Shachi, who was the mother of the entire world, to touch his lotus feet. So as soon as Advaitacharya heard this, he got in, he was thinking, wow, what is this? Now mother has to touch my feet. So he fainted. And as soon as he fainted, that was an opportunity for Mother Shachi to take the dust of his lotus feet, and Mahaprabhu became very happy. And finally, she also got mercy. So this way, Śrī Advaitacharya, he pacified Kamalakanta Vishwasa, and he said, and immediately after pacifying Kamalakanta Vishwasa, he went to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said that, oh Mahaprabhu, oh Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I cannot understand your pastimes. How come you have shown so much favor to Kamalakanta? You have never shown that mercy or favor to me, but you have shown a great favor to Kamalakanta. What offense I have committed at your lotus feet that I never became the recipient of such favor? Hearing this, Mahaprabhu laughed, and finally he told Advaitacharya that you understood the real thing, so go and get Kamalakanta Vishwasa and I will give him my darshan. So Advaitacharya then actually told, Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu actually told to Advaitacharya that he has cheated, your secretary, your follower, Kamalakanta Vishwasa, has cheated me in two ways. First of all, he is calling you the Supreme Lord, and secondly, he is calling you that you are in a debt of 300 rupees. So this is not right. So you go and call Kamalakanta. So as soon as Kamalakanta was brought before Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Kamalakanta was instructed by Mahaprabhu. He said that you are a Bauliya. You don't know the things as they are, and that's why you didn't act properly. So first of all, you have been appointed as the secretary of Advaitacharya. That doesn't mean that you intervene into the privacy of Advaitacharya. Who told you to write a letter to King Pratap-Rudra that Advaitacharya was in debt? After all, he is the supreme. You have written that he is the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If somebody is the Supreme Lord, then how can he be indebted? So this is Rasabhas. Don't bring Daridra Narayan philosophy here. So Kamalakanta Vishwasa was highly instructed by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So finally, he says that this is not the right mindset. This is the mindset of the material people. First of all, you should have not invaded into the privacy of Advaitacharya. If you have come to know about this, there was no need to write a letter to King Pratap-Rudra about this. So therefore, keep your mind free of all kind of pollution. So then he instructed, Mana dushta haila nahe Krishna rasmarana Krishna smriti vina haya nishpala jivana. So Mahaprabhu personally, he called Kamalakanta Vishwasa, and he instructed him. He says, Mana dushta haila, if the mind is polluted, nahe Krishna smarana, then it will be very difficult for one to remember Krishna. And how the mind gets polluted? When we hear any faults about others. When we hear the criticism about others, the mind becomes polluted. Not only here, if we come to know, like Kamalakanta Vishwasa, he just came to know about Advaitacharya because he was the secretary. So his job was to keep quiet, or maybe at the most discussed with Advaitacharya. On his own, he went to, and he sent a note to King Pratap-Rudra, which was not needed. So Mahaprabhu is saying that don't pollute your mind. Mana dushta haila. If your mind is polluted, you can never remember Lord Shri Krishna. And without remembering Krishna smriti vinu, haya nishvala jivana. The whole life is wasted. So don't ever try to do this. So always, one devotee should always keep their mind in a very pure state. And that mind only can help one to remember Krishna. Yes, our Shastra says, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, that one should always remember Krishna. And this is also the instruction given by Shri Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. He says, what's the verse? Tasmad-bharata-sārārtham Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavya Smartavya Chate Abhayam. That one should always, if one wants to become abhayam, one wants to become free of all miseries, then one has to perform these activities. What are these activities? Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, and Smartavya. One should hear about whom? Bhagavan Ishvara Hari. One should hear about him, one should glorify him, and one should always remember him. So this way he says that a Vaishnava is especially the one who acts as a spiritual master, but he acts on the direction of the spiritual master and doesn't act himself as a spiritual master. So you should be further conscious of this fact. And this way he gave instructions to Kamalakanta and Advaitacharya and Kamalakanta Vishwasa. They both were very, very pleased. So what I will do is that from now, our Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will be simply naming all the rest of the sub-branches. So he talked about the main ones. The first one was our Achyutananda. Second was our Krishna Mishra. Third was Gopaladas. And fourth was this Kamalakanta Vishwasa. After describing this, then Mahaprabhu, he will simply, our Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will simply discuss about the other branches. And what were the other branches? We will quickly see from this Shubhodhini, because Prabhuji, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, has done a very wonderful job. And he has just named it. So the fifth branch is Yadunandanacharya. Hope you are able to see. And this branch, Yadunandanacharya, was actually the spiritual master of Raghunandan Das Goswami. So we know that how Raghunandan Das Goswami, he was a householder and he wants to run away because he wants to serve Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that no, let the right time come. Until then, you be in a grahastha ashram and you take care of your wife, your family and your parents. And then one day, with the help of Yadunandan Acharya, Raghunandan Das Goswami was able to run away from his home and he straight away went to Jagannath Puri to serve Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So this Yadunandan Acharya is the same Yadunandan Acharya. So then he says the other branches, and those branches are Bhagavat Acharya, who is Shweta Manjari in Krishna Lila, Vishnudas Acharya, Chakrapani Acharya, Anant Acharya, who is Sudevi Gopi in Krishna Lila. Now, why just the names are mentioned? That some of the devotees, their pastimes will be discussed in Madhya and Antya Lila. But right now, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, after describing the four main branches, he now just lists the names of other branches. Then we have Kamadev, Nandini, Kamadev, Chaitanya Das, Durlabha Vishwas, Vanmali Das, Jagannath Kara, Bhagavan Nath Kara, Hridayananda Sena, Bholanath Das, Yadav Das, Vijay Das, Janardhan Das, Anant Das. These are 22. And then he describes 23rd is Kanu Pandit, Narayan Das, Srivatsa Pandit, Haridas Brahmachari, Purushottama Brahmachari, Krishna Das, Purushottama Pandit, Raghunath, Vanamali Kavichandra, Vaidyanath, Lokanath Pandit, Murari Pandit, Sri Haricharan, Madhav Pandit, Vijay Pandit, and Sri Ram Pandit, who was the Parvat Muni. We know how this pastime also, that Parvat Muni is a great friend of Narad Muni. And after correcting this Mrigari, the hunter, Parvat Muni and Narad Muni, they together went, and Mrigari was so happy that my spiritual master has come. So he was so thoughtful that this time when he went to meet Narad Muni, he was cleaning the ground with his uttariya so that he doesn't step on any ant. That same Ragari who was killing half animals, he was not killing fully, he was half killing the animals. The same Ragari, he was very mindful of not stepping on ants. So he was cleaning the entire pathway through his Uttariya, and he went straight to meet Parvat Muni and Narad. So these are the 38 sub-branches that are being described. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that there were very ungrateful branches also. Well, I will not describe them. And there is no need also for describing all those. The three branches, Achyutananda, Krishna Mishra, and Gopala of Advaita's descendant have been briefly described. And now Śrī Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, after describing all this, he says that those who actually followed the principles of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they were flourished because they stick to that tree. But others who didn't accepted the philosophy and concocted their own philosophy, they got dried up. And then he said that, so then he explained about the branches of Śrī Gadadhar Pandit. And in Gadadhar Pandit, he just listed Shri Dhruvananda, who was Lalita Gopi, Sridhar Brahmachari, who was Chandra Latika Gopi. Then we have Haridas Brahmachari, Raghunath Bhagavan Acharya, Anant Acharya, Kavidatta, who was Kalakanthi Gopi. Then we have Nayana Mishra, who was Nitya Manjari, Ganga Mantri, who was Chandrika Gopi, Mamu Thakur, who was Rupa Manjari. Now, not this Rupa Manjari, our Rupa Goswami, but another. Kanta Bharana, who was Gopali Gopi, Bhugarbha Gosai, who was Prema Manjari. Then we have Bhagavad Das, Vaninath Brahmachari, Vallabha Chaitanya Das, Srinath Chakravarti, Uddhava, Jita Mitra, who was Shyama Manjari Gopi, Jagannath Das, who was Tilakini Gopi, who was assistant of Chitra Devi. Then Sri Hari Acharya, who was Kalakshi Gopi. Then Sadipuriya Gopala, Krishnadas Brahmachari, who was Indulekha Gopi. Pushpa Gopala, who was Swarna Gramaka. Then Sri Harsha, Raghu Mishra, who was Karpura Manjari. Then we have Lakshminath Pandit, who was Rasonmada. Then we have Bhagavati Chaitanya Das, who was Kali. Then we have Raghunath, who was Varangda. Then Amogha Pandit, Hasti Gopala, Chaitanya Vallabha, Yadu Ganguli, Mangala Vaishnava, and Shivananda Chakravarti, who was a Lavanga Manjari. So this way, our Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he lists and he names all these wonderful followers of Gadadhar Pandit and Shri Advaita Acharya. After describing this, now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says that this is the destination of non-devotees, because some devotees didn't follow the orders of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore drifted away, and they were no more attached to this tree. So he says, Chaitanya Rahita Deha Suksha Katha Sama Jiveti Mritta Sai Maile Danda Yama. A person who is without Krishna consciousness is no better than a dry wood. Suksha Kashtha. Kashtha refers to wood. And not only the good wood, but it's a dry wood or a dead body. He is understood to be a dead while living. Jivete Mritta Sai. Though he is living, but because he is not Krishna conscious, his body or his living is same as a dead body. Maile Danda Yama. And after death, he is definitely punished by Yamaraj. Ki Pandita, ki Tapasvi, ki Bagrahi Yati, Chaitanya Vimukha Yei Tare Nahi Gati. He says, forget about if somebody is a Pandita or somebody is a great ascetic, means he is a great tapasvi, or somebody is a householder, or yatis, even if somebody is a famous sannyasi. But if he is Chaitanya Vimukha, or if he is against the cult of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, if he is not the follower of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Tare E Gati, then he has to destined to suffer the punishment which is met by Yamaraj, which is meted out by Yamaraj. So, Tare E Gati, which Gati? that reflects to the previous verse that he is always punishable by Yamaraj. So after describing these branches and these sub-branches, now Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives a beautiful Falashruti. This Falashruti will tell us that why we were naming those personalities. We would have skipped it also. But it's so nice to call out the names of these associates, because these are the personal associates of Lord Shri Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Both because they were in Krishna Lila and they came to assist Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Lila. Eitina skandhara ka ilu shakhara ganana jnana sabasmarane bhava bandha vimochana. Simply by remembering the names of these branches and sub-branches of the three trunks I have described, that is Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu and Gadadhar, one attains freedom from the entanglement of material existence. So therefore it is very important that whenever we get a chance, we can call out the names, we can read the names aloud, and we can remember these names. Because just by remembering and calling out these names, one can get freedom from the samsara, from the cycle of birth and death. यहाँ सब स्मरणे पाए चैतन्य चरणम जहाँ सब स्मरणे हाय वांछित पूरणम. Simply by remembering the names of these great Vaishnavas, one can obtain the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, simply by remembering their holy names, one achieves the fulfillment of all desires. Ay vanchita purna. Your all desires will be fulfilled. Why? Because who are these? These are the associates of these great personalities like Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya Prabhu and Gadadhar Prabhu. And these associates are like wish-fulfilling trees. They are Vaishnavas. So these Vaishnavas who are wish-fulfilling trees, naturally they will fulfill all our desires. So if one wants to achieve the fulfillment of all their desires, vanchita purna, one should sabismarana, one should always remember these great devotees of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who are also the great followers of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, but they are coming out from these main branches, that is Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar. Finally, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes the ocean of Śrī Chaitanya's pastimes, because after describing this, he will not spend any more time in describing the various other sub-branches, because from these sub-branches also comes other branches. So there is no need. And then he says, Gaura lilamrita sindhu apar agada ke karite paritahi avagaha sada. The ocean of pastimes of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu is immeasurable, apar agada, and it is unfathomable. I cannot fathom the depth of this ocean. Who have the courage to measure that great ocean? Nobody has a courage. Tahara madhurya gandha lubdha hai mana ataiva tate rahi chaki eka karna. And he says it is impossible, it is not possible to dip into that great ocean. But its madhurya gandha, its sweet mellow fragrance, it attracts the mind. Therefore, I just stand up on the shore of that ocean and try to taste just a drop of it. So, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that it's impossible for me to go and take a dip into that ocean. So what I'm doing is I'm just relishing the fragrance that is coming from that ocean, and I'm standing on the shore and I'm just tasting a drop of it. And with that, I'm naming all these great personalities also. And finally, he ends this chapter with a celebrated verse, Shri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Jara As Caitanya-caritāmṛta Kahe Krishnadas. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishnadas, narrate Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, following in their footsteps. So with that, we have ended chapter 12 of Adi Lila. There are 17 chapters in Adi Lila, 5 more to go. But here, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has ended naming all these different associates of these great personalities. So there he ended, but it is always good to remember their names whenever get a chance to call out their names, because it is very, very auspicious. So we will end. Thank you all so much. Thank you for your association. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhuveva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Śrīla Caitanya-caritāmṛta.
जय
माता जी की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
जय हरे कृष्ण हरि बोल।